Robin was on his way back to Aramori, where he was going to meet Harry. Harry's a scientist, and him and Harry were discussing the animals and the creatures that Robin had found so far. Because there was intelligence there, but there was no talking, and it was just mind talking through minds to each other. So Harry had this idea that he would invent something that could make the animals actually speak to each other. And that's what he was going to invent, something that could help through time. Now, this was very, very hard to do and would take a long, long time. So Harry started getting his equipment together, getting his scientist stuff together, and he would join Robin on the next trip to Earth to go to the Blue Planet, and he would spend some time on Clyde 19 observing the animals with Robin. But his mission was to make the animals more intelligent and make them be able to communicate with each other and maybe even communicate with different animals. In the meantime, there was more islands popping up, more places popping up, and different kind of animals coming out. There was animals that decided that they were going to climb up the trees to get away from the ones down the bottom. But some of the animals felt so bad about the way they'd watched other people getting bullied and other people getting eaten by the larger ones and they were small that they decided that they would never harm another animal. And they became what's called vegetarians. They would eat the fruits and they would also eat the greens. There was lots and lots of food around, so there was no trouble with that. But the only problem was the larger animals were still out to eat them, out to eat anything they can that's smaller than them. This was still the rule. The larger, the more bullying you done, and the more fear is what you made the animals live on. Fear. That's right. And the animals up the trees, they wanted to live on something totally different. They wanted to make sure that the place that their children and their little animals were coming up on was going to be a better place. This is going to pan out a wee bit kind of strange at the beginning, and then it's going to pan out pretty good. So we need to follow the story and work that one out with this. Yeah. But the animals, anyway, they would be up the tree 1 minute, and then they would jump to the next tree. And the animals down the ground, they just could not catch them. So they had to give up. So they had to go somewhere else and start getting their food somewhere else. But the poor little animals that couldn't make it up, they were just getting munched up. And it was really, really hard. You know, you had nowhere to hide. Every corner you turned, there was someone looking to get you. And if you were small, you were terrified. And if you were large, you were still terrified because sometimes groups would gang up on you. Yeah, that's right, groups of animals. And they were sneaky ones. And they would like, instead of one going for a big animal, 6 or 7 would go at the same time, but then they would share the food. And if there was a little bit of food, not a lot of food about, they'd actually fight each other for what food was there. So these animals are really kind of bad, you know. They didn't just pick on, and they pick on their own as well. They just didn't pick on this animal because it's different. They just picked on any animal they could eat. And at the end of the day, it's all about food. That's what it's about at the moment. It's all about greed, but it's all about greed for food. Anyway, the animals all started doing this to each other and that to each other. And the ones up the trees were getting a bit safer and a bit better. And Harry had come in and observed this, and he kind of had an idea of how to get the animals to actually communicate with each other. But not only that, he had an idea of how different animals and why different animals were going from one place to another. Whereas Robin was just looking for the knowledge, he's just looking for words of wisdom or some kind of guidance so he can get the book of time up and running for Father Wisdom so he can read it. Whereas Harry was doing the same thing, but he was trying to give knowledge down so that knowledge could be made. And that's what he was doing. He was trying to teach the animals to be better and learn more amongst themselves. Therefore, they can all talk to each other in certain ways. And it was kind of successful what he was doing because some animals could actually speak to each other after a while, after a bit of time, whereas other animals, they just wasn't interested. All they were interested in is, I am so big and strong, I'm taking over and I'm in charge. And that's what happened through life. People that are big and strong take for the weak and they leave the weak behind because they're big and strong and they can do that. And people are scared to, or animals are scared to say to other animals, don't do that. This is out of order because the animals will just attack them and destroy them and chase their families and destroy their lives. And it was the same with him. And I went and see as well. So this was going on all over the place. There was so much trouble. Yeah. And how you get out of this trouble, we don't know yet. But what we do know is the Green Santa, Robin, he's been studying for a while now. And he's beginning to learn a little bit about how life is going to evolve. And he's also getting equipment from the funnel. And the funnel has, as we say, black holes in it. And the black holes are all time holes. They're all different parts of history, from the beginning of history to the end of history, back to the beginning of history. And sometimes things come from there that maybe no supposed to have come because the embryos at the end's been busted open wide and they land on the blue planet. And sometimes these things help Father Wisdom by helping the animals to learn more and study more. And Father Wisdom can now take the knowledge from them and start putting it in the book to make something. And there was animals that we'd never recognise coming out here now. Animals with two legs, animals with four legs, animals with tails, animals with fur, animals that were large, animals that were small, all different sizes now. But still, the smallest ones had to escape up the trees. They had to hide somewhere where the other ones couldn't get them. And they could watch the other ones running about, bump one, bump one, bump one. They knew who to hide and who to run away from. And they also knew the speeds and everything else. Because they were learning, they were getting educated. Whereas the ones on the ground were meat eaters. And all they wanted to do was eat, 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 eat. Even the young were that way. But one or two meat eaters kind of decided that these people up the top might be a wee bit better. We might just move up there. So they kind of tried to get up there. Then the next one, I'm going to tell you a story about them. I'm going to tell you what they'd done and how bad they actually were. But they pretended to be good. Some people nowadays would say the sheep and wolf's outfit. I think that's what they call it. The sheep and wolf's outfit. So work on that one and you've got an idea of what the next story is. But I'm going to let you go now. And I'll try and be back tomorrow. But I'm doing some filming, and the filming I'm doing may make me miss 1 or 2 days on this. But I'm still going to come back to this, yeah. Once I finish filming, I'm going to be doing this every day. Bye.